Hey, aloha offline sharks. How we doing, everybody? Welcome to our Friday marketing jam session.
I'm starting a TikTok channel just in case anybody is interested. You can follow him. It's The Great Tom, Grate.
Well, because of my daughters, I see all the YouTube videos and like, smash that like button. Pew! Always cracks me up. Yeah. Awesome. Well, welcome to our Friday marketing jam. I'm here with Nick. We're going to hang out for about around an hour, talk local marketing. We found some great questions in the Facebook group we thought we could talk about, and we have some shout outs for some sharks, and yeah, just super excited to be here. Give you a little taste of what I'm reading, some things like that. So I see Ron's on here. Aloha, Ron. Ron's been going through his yearly medical stuff, so glad to see all that's working out, Ron.
Yep. We sharks, we need to take care of ourselves from time to time.
Yeah, so important. I was just, it's funny. Like there's some little, one of the things I've obviously been doing since like the middle of last year is starting to be more physical, go to the gym, watch what I eat, things like that. There's other things though that can be really good to help just keep you calm with the stress and stuff. Like you and I were just talking the other day about massages, right? Like doing regular massages and stuff to just kind of release the tension, get out. And we always talk about getting outside, like sometimes when you're in front of your computer working and it's super frustrating, you just got to like get outside and like break that up so that you feel better.
Yeah, I do forced outside activities.
Yeah.
I live in my mom's basement, for those of you that don't know.
He does not live in his mom's basement. It's so funny you say that. I was just watching one of the books I'm going to recommend. The author, I was watching him on this podcast, and he was on this YouTube channel. It was this young looking guy. And he was like, the author was telling the host of the podcast, he's like, oh yeah, what are you like in your mom's basement over there? And he was like, boy, do I know how to pick these podcasts or what? Freaking cracked me up.
Well, last night I went to, this is so not my wheelhouse, but I did it anyway. I went to a yoga workshop last night.
Oh, come on. You've been doing yoga for a while.
No, yeah, I've been doing yoga for a while, and I'll preach that. That's been great. But like going to an actual workshop, I mean, yeah. I stretch. Okay, let's be real. But going to a yoga workshop, that's taking it to the next level, and I did. But it was great. It was really great. Yeah. I mean, you know what I found was interesting was like for those who have tried to meditate. A lot of it can sound kind of woo-woo, and a lot of people really push it in the personal development world today. But I have a really difficult time turning the noise off for any, even a short length of time. But for a long period of time, I really have a difficult time with that. And I have a lot in my mind all the time, right? And what I've noticed about that yoga, and especially about that class last night, is getting the chance to like take yourself to an exhausted state, through stretching or whatever, or a tired state, and then doing the meditation after that. You're almost forced to actually be able to shut up and just listen. And it's like a hack, right? For me to be able to work around my crazy mind and figure out a way to actually force myself to do it. And man, the things that come to me in that state of meditation, like as soon as I'm done, I'm like, and I go to my phone and I write down all these notes. All this stuff comes to me, and literally so many things come to me that I'm like, I'm meditating, but I'm also at the same time trying my best, my absolute best, to remember all of the stuff that is coming to me, because it's all great, right? It's all really, really good stuff.
Yeah, one of the things that I've been doing is because I've tried, traditional meditation and things like that as well. But hold on, let me adjust my volume. I think I'm getting an echo. But one of the things that I've been doing recently for, I don't know, the past 6 months, maybe a little longer. I'm not as consistent with it as I would like to be, but it's like it's kind of like a guided meditation, but it uses this special, it almost looks like a really old school iPod, but it's like, it comes with glasses, and you put the glasses on. And so like, as the guided meditation is going on, these colored lights are flashing, and it's supposed to, just help you absorb that stuff into your subconscious. And so I've been doing that, and I've found that to be, I've enjoyed it. Like, I get something out of it. I feel relaxed, rested. And the same thing, like sometimes I'm doing that, and then when I come out of it, I'm like, oh, that's the answer to what I've been thinking about,
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. Hey, who here has tried meditation? What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below, and let's give a couple shout outs. How's it going, Eric? We already saw Ron.
I see Ron said Ron he got second place finish in a 5K run at age 71. That's
damn, Ron.
Awesome.
Ron, you're a beast. And look, David said it's Tom. He's famous.
Yeah.
Hold on. Got something for you guys. Who's that man right there? Did you guys see that Tom got published in Forbes? First shout out of the day right there.
Yeah, when Cameron showed me that cover that he photoshopped, I was like, that is hilarious.
What are you talking
actually
about?
In that picture, I'm in San Diego. We were at our mastermind. I was at
really?
I found a cigar place there where they rolled the cigars like right in the front. After we went to the magic store. Then you left. So I drug Nick to the magic store, and then he was like, "Man, I'm gonna go back to the hotel." So he headed off, and I there was a cigar shop right by there, so I went in there. They made their own cigars. They were good.
Yeah. If you guys haven't read this article yet, let me see if I can copy it. I'm gonna put it in the chat for you. But it's a really good article. It's all about outsourcing. I just posted in the comments. Check it out.
Yeah. So Barbara, the article was published on Forbes.com. I wasn't actually on the cover of the magazine. Yeah. Cameron did that as just a funny thing to do.
It's a confidence booster.
Yeah.
Hey, but Barbara, I don't know, I wanted to give a quick shout out to her too, because she's really growing her team right now, right?
Yeah. So for those of you who may or may not know, we opened up a private coaching class, and Barbara signed on. And for those of you that don't know Barbara in the Facebook group, she has an agency. They do really well, but they're doing all the work themselves, right? So she's been she came into the private coaching, and I was actually just emailing her this morning. She's already found a couple people to do some things and starting to transition from doing all the work. So way to take action. I think we only did our second call yesterday, right? So man, it's really great to see you. I knew you were going to crush it. When we talked to Barbara before the thing started, I was like, man, she's going to kill it. And that's exactly what she's doing. So way to go,
Yep.
Barbara.
Yep. And there's our commitment, right? Barbara's taking action. She's committed to her success and taking action and the results that she's going to get out of the program. So that is really, really awesome to see. I think, we've talked about it before. We can make commitments to ourselves all the time. I know I do. And then it's really easy to go back on those commitments. But part of what we're doing in our private coaching is we're really getting group accountability by committing with the group that we're going to take action on the content laid out in front of us. So I think that is a big, big point in the private coaching.
Yeah. And if you guys ever see Barbara post anything in the Facebook group, I'd pay attention to what she says, because she's out there doing it, living it. Right. And that's really important. You want to listen to those people when they have things to say. Yeah. And there's actually that coaching class. I mean, we filled that coaching class up, and everybody in there is really great. I mean, Barbara's doing a fantastic job. We have another student in there, Megan Bennett, who you may see around in the groups. And like, it's so funny, on the call yesterday, she was telling us how she's now doing SEO for a client, and she like has no idea. She doesn't even have any idea about how to even do SEO, right? Like, she just has a person doing it. And so really awesome to see that. And I know Grant. So Grant is a guy who was actually selling digital services for other marketers. So he was just the sales guy, right? And then they were giving him a commission. And so now he's learning how to do the fulfillment himself with a team. And he's like killing it too, because he's got the sales part down, right? Like, he just told us the other day, he closed 2 website deals before the call, and now he's getting people to do those things for him. So super awesome to see that. I mean, lots of great people in there. Who else? I mean, I know I'm missing a lot of people in there, but all those guys in that class are really doing an excellent job. So,
yeah. Someone was asking what the coaching was about. So the private coaching, we had a topic that we were focused on for this class, and it's all about building a team. So building a team of outsourcers to help you with, whatever products you're selling, if it's SEO or website design, or you're just looking for more salespeople or a virtual assistant. We're showing everybody how we have built our team, and we have a really, really awesome, program for how to do it. And we laid it all out for them, and we're, taking them by the hand and showing them how to do that. But I don't want to get too wrapped up on the private coaching. We've got some killer sharks in there that are taking action with it. So congrats, everybody. And, we're excited to see your success.
Yeah, super excited.
Look at this. Look at this shout out.
Oh yeah. Ron,
that's the book we sent him.
Yeah. So when we did our holiday extravaganza, Ron was one of the winners. We sent out some books. So that was one of the books that we had talked about and we sent to him. So awesome. Glad to see you got it, Ron. And Ron's another guy, he posts a lot in the Facebook group, and, he's over in the Philippines. Like, he retired over in the Philippines, and he's been, just doing an agency kind of on the side, but he's doing a lot over there. He's got a resource website up. He's killing it over there. So really great to see that, Ron.
Yeah, excellent work, Ron. And oh man, I know Zachary is on the call too. Zachary, I actually shot a video. So Zachary called me out on the push-up challenge.
I saw him doing the push-up challenge. I was like, man, way to go, Zach.
And I shot my first video, and I was trying to upload it last night, and for some reason Facebook wouldn't let me upload it. I'll send it out to you today. I've got it on my website, or in my folder on my desktop. So, but yeah, way to go, Zach. I see you building your app. Keep up the good work, man.
Yeah. So Kristen, we do have I see a question coming in here for, did you put the link to the article in the chat, Nick?
I did.
Okay. Yeah, Brian, there should be a link in the chat there to the article. Kristen was asking about the books, if we have a list of all the books. So most of the books we did in the extravaganza, Kristen, we've recommended on this live jam show. And so we do have a link for the books. If you guys go to offlinesharks.com/books, every time we talk about books on this show, we have them added to the website so that you guys can, easily find them and stuff like that. So a lot of good stuff there. And we always do a section on here called what's Tom reading. And so whatever books I do today will be on there as well. So, but yeah, so you can go there and see all the various ones. You can see there's Profit First. So lots of good books that either Nick's reading or I'm reading, or ones that we've just gotten lots of good stuff out of. So
make sure if you try to load this page, though, you got to turn off, like, these Amazon buttons won't show up unless you turn off your ad blocker. So let's see.
Maybe we should do. Oh, go ahead.
Zach says that he's starting a second job and has an outsourcer who wants to do the logo. Good job. Zach. Let us know when you get your logo, when you get some SKUs of it, make sure to post it in the group so we can give you some feedback.
Yeah. What's the I see Cameron put a different link in there. Recommended reading.
It goes to the same page.
Same page. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So let's we have some questions too that we want to get to. I know that some of you on the stream right now, if you have any questions, like anything that you're working on, put them in the comments below. Like if you have questions on, maybe you have a potential customer that you're having a difficult time pricing your services, or you want to know how much to charge, or you want to know what to say, any of that stuff, this is your chance to get feedback from both Tom and I. If you have anything that you need to help, maybe it's really just a business question, maybe it's how you should set up your business, how you should, set up your corporate structure, any of that stuff. We have experience with a lot of this. So any of those questions, make sure to put them in the comments. And then the first one that I had found, Conrad Foley was asking how much to charge for Instagram account management. And actually, Rick broke it down pretty good here in the comments below. I don't know if you guys can see that. But basically he charges about $1,000 a month. And that includes both like posting pictures on the main feed for people and stories. I don't do stories for people unless they give us the content, or you can do like pictures for stories. That would work. But just to take over someone's main feed, $500 a month is a great price to start at. And of course, if it's a really busy Instagram profile, you can charge more. But yeah, I don't really do much these days for less than $500. And I think everybody that is in the Offline Shark community, you should really kind of take your skill set, your experience, your knowledge to that level as well. Because most of you already are, just by being a part of this group, more than most people, more than most business owners about digital marketing. So I think you're absolutely worth it. And you should think that too. You should believe in that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Somebody, Marianne says, how do you keep yourself focused? Because I'm getting started and there are so many ways of making money. I'm the type of person that thinks too much. Go ahead, Tom.
Yes, well, that was me for a long, long time, right? And Marianne, like really the way to, there's a couple things you got to do. One, right? Like you need to kind of get clear with yourself on what it is that you want. Like what type, what do you want your life to look like, right? Like one of the exercises that I did that was helpful to me was like imagine myself in the future on a typical, or what I would consider an average work day, right? Like what does that day look like? And write it down, right? And write out a thing about what your day, what your life looks like. And then you can use that as kind of a guide, right? So one is just getting clear on where you want to go so that, you stay motivated, right? The other thing is to, pick something and stick to it. Like I didn't really, for me, I did it completely the wrong way, right? Like I waited until things were an absolute mess. My back was against the wall. And like, I only had two choices. It was either try to make my own business work or get a real job. And, I couldn't bring myself to get a quote real job again. So I just went all in on what I was doing. Right. And I picked something that I thought looked good, that I thought would work. And then I made that commitment to myself to just do whatever it takes to make it work. Right. And for me, it was doing some things that for a long time I didn't want to do. Right. Like I was constantly looking for a way to avoid doing certain activities, like just walking into businesses and talking to them about what I was doing, or going to networking groups, or, putting myself out there, right? Like I was spending a lot of time, as somebody said the other day, sharpening my pencil. I need to know this, and what if this doesn't go perfect, and what happens if they like, I would say, okay, this week I'm on a prospect, and then I would come up with all these problems that could come up, right? And since I didn't know the answers to what to do, I wouldn't prospect. And like what I've learned through experience now is the thing to do is to prospect, and you can figure that stuff out, right? Like even if you map everything out and have a great plan, our experience has been like, it doesn't always go that way. Like most of the time it doesn't. Like things come up, things change. And so, you just have to be okay with that. But the important thing is to pick something that you think's going to work, right? And then just, make a goal. Like I'm going to do this, set some time out, a few days a week or every day to do it. And then just sit down and do it. Like that's really what it comes to in the end, right? At some point you just have to do it, like you can only get ready so much, and you just have to do it. So, that's kind of like the first step of all that, right? Is just getting that point where it's like, okay, I'm actually going to do this. And I saw there was another question that kind of relates to this, because it's like, look at, okay, you have lots of options when getting your business going, right? Things you want to learn, things you want to know. But then there's a certain set of activities that are what we call revenue producing activities. And so in the beginning, that's exactly where you need to be focused, revenue producing activities. And if a digital agency is what you want to do, revenue producing activities are more than likely prospecting, right? Reaching out to leads, starting to get activity going, right? And it is hard to do, because when something's not moving, it takes a lot of effort to start pushing it forward, right? Once it gets going, it gets a little easier, but in the beginning, it can be a challenge, and you may have to try a lot of different things and approaches, right? Which I don't think is a bad thing, because you're trying things and getting feedback and stuff like that. So, but you want to focus on those revenue producing activities. And I used to be of the opinion that that's something you didn't have to do for very long. A really eye-opening thing for me was when I read in a book that a company from 0 to 1 million, your main focus should be sales. Like that's all you need to be focused on, is bringing in sales. Because and this is kind of borne out in our experience growing our agencies and in growing Offline Sharks. Like you can sit there and worry about how you're going to, like, what if I get 50 clients? What will I do? And that can stop you from taking action, right? But if you go out there and actually start getting clients, like you just start with one and then you just keep going. Like if you get to that point of having 50 clients, your ability to solve that problem will be way easier than you thought it was going to be, because you're going to have cash flow coming in. You're going to have resources. When you have resources coming in, it's much easier to solve problems and figure things out than if you don't. And on the flip side of that, like you just have to start to be okay with, all right, I'm not going to know what I'm doing sometimes, and I'm just going to have to figure it out. But you just have to say like, look, I'm just going to figure it out. Right. Like, I mean, I don't know if I'm making sense there. Does that make sense, Nick?
Yeah, you're making sense. I mean,
yeah. So I would say, making that decision to do whatever it takes, then setting some, getting clear on your goals, and then setting some to-do lists. And it can be just a simple thing like making a list the night before, the things you want to get done the next day. Just make sure that those things that you're working on are revenue producing activities. So, if you're going to be out there prospecting, but you don't have an agency website set up, then maybe your first step is to get that agency website set up, right? Like, then that can be considered a revenue producing activity, but don't spend months doing that. Like just get something up and get going. Right. And if you continue to do that, then, that gives you a good shot.
Yeah. The main thing is to stay on task. So whatever you have to do to stay on task, and if you have a strategy you want to focus on, then stay on task and give that a full effort before you move on to something else. Give it a real effort, not just like I'm going to skim through the course type of thing. But you need to make sure that whatever you are focusing your energy on is a legitimate source of what you should be doing. You don't want to be following information and strategy from someone or some source where it's bullcrap, right? You need something that's legit. So if you can stay on task with that, that's the key. Eric has a question that says, regarding SSL, is there anything you can do to expedite with Google? So Eric, when you change your website from not secured to secured, Google is going to scrape it and make that change automatically. The one thing you might be able to do is submit a sitemap to Google. That could expedite the process, and you can do a Google search on how to do that, or we go over that in our local SEO Shark Academy training. But the one thing that you need to remember too is, even if you're now secure and you weren't before, if someone were to click on that link, it should redirect them to the secure site.
Yeah, I see Brian had a question about what's the net income ratio to gross income for most digital agencies. What should we plan for expenses and payroll? So Brian, a couple of things about this. One is like, one of the kind of shifts we had to make is like, you don't want to be spending a bunch of money if you don't have cash flow coming in, and income and all this stuff, like pricing and all those things are, I know there's a lot of people out there that give cookie cutter advice on this, but that's not good advice. Like, it's very specific to your situation, right? So really the thing to do is to figure out what do you need to survive each month, right? Like, what's your monthly nut? And your monthly nut is like your bills, your, like, what do you need to get by, right? And then you can kind of work backwards and start to see like, okay, well, if this is what I need each month and I'm charging a client X amount of dollars, this is how many clients I need each month to make that money, right? So, that's the first thing, like, get clear on what you need and what you need to make first, right? And ideally, you shouldn't be, like in our agencies, we don't really bring people on unless we have the cash flow coming in. So, it's really hard to say what you should plan for that, because, what we have to budget today for our teams and stuff is way different from the beginning, and your situation is going to be different. So I would say probably, the best thing to do is start backwards, figure out how much you need to make, how much you want to make, maybe run both those numbers, break that up into like, okay, what's realistic? Like, how many clients do I think I could get a month? And then what would I need to charge for those things? Right. That way, at least you have a clear picture of where you need to get and where you need to go. And then that can help you make the goals of how much prospecting you do, how many leads you need to reach out to. Right. And then as money's coming in, then you start expanding.
And your margins, the second part, the question about the margins, Brian. So it really depends on what you're selling and how you're fulfilling, but for us, we are generally outsourcing. We have our teams who are, private contractors that are doing the fulfillment for us. So services like SEO, we have really high margins. It's 70%. If we charge $1,000 for a monthly SEO package, it costs us $300 to fulfill that. So in digital marketing, you do have the opportunity to have really, really high margins. I mean, a margin that high, you can't really see that in a lot of other places, in a lot of other industries. Same with websites, 70%, sometimes even more, depending on what's being delivered. Obviously, you don't have to start at 70%. Some people aren't comfortable starting there because maybe they are doing all the work themselves, or maybe they have a difficult time asking for a higher price point when they don't have confidence in the outsourcing they're doing or the work they're delivering. But you should work towards somewhere near a 70% margin on SEO, ads, websites, the general services that you can offer in digital marketing. That should be your goal.
Yeah, and Marion, that's right. Jump in and work things out. I heard a great definition of an entrepreneur. They're like, an entrepreneur is somebody who jumps off a cliff and then builds the plane on the way down. That's a pretty good analogy. Like,
it is.
It feels like that a lot of the times.
Dan says he just got our website audits using as a lead-in for Maps ranking services. Any advice as to how to get them going? How important is my website as far as visuals for the customer? Not that important, Dan. I mean, I didn't have a website for a long time. I did a couple of audits long before I had a website, and you could totally do that too. It really depends on how you're prospecting. Like if you were going to a networking group, for example, you could talk to people who you could potentially be selling an audit to without ever showing them your website. So my advice is to probably, go through all of the content, get really familiar so you know so you sound like you know what you're talking about at least. And then once you find somebody to do the service for, really do a good job, over deliver, and try to have good communication with them. And if you're having a hard time prospecting for somebody that could need that, then I'd probably suggest just going to Google and looking for somebody in the Google Maps section that's a business that doesn't have a website. You could probably start there.
Or they're just far down in the maps, right? And then you could...
Or they're far down in the maps, sure. Yeah. One thing I like to point out to people, though, is so if you find a business in Google Maps, right, they have a Google My Business page. Like they claimed their PIN, but they do not have a website. That tells you two things. Number one, they obviously care to a certain degree whether or not they're online or they're digital, because they've claimed their Google business listing, right? So it's obviously mildly important to them. They understand somewhat of the importance. And if they don't have a website, they probably know they could be doing more. So that type of person or business is really low-hanging fruit. So if you can find those people and they're very easy to find, then go after them. Corey says that he owns his own remodeling business in Southwest Florida. How can I make money in this niche? Try lead gen, make cheat sheets, anything? Yeah.
Where are you talking about for your business, like how to bring in leads for your business specifically, or?
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Corey, what I would do, since you own a remodeling business, I would put together some sort of resource for people that are looking to get their house or do some remodeling, like the Southwest Florida remodel guide cheat sheet, the 10 things you absolutely need to know before remodeling your house, right? Create something like that because you already have that information because you're an expert. Put it in a PDF or some way that you can give it to people, and then run some ads on Facebook or some other platform to people that are in Southwest Florida that are interested in home remodeling. And that way, you can catch people that are obviously interested, and you can position yourself as an expert. And once they download that thing, it's a lead magnet, right? Once they download that thing and give you their email address or however you're going to give it to them, then I would hit them up and say, hey, you're interested in some remodeling? We have a special on our home remodeling services that we can offer you right now. Maybe we'll give you a quote for free or whatever it is. But there's no shortage of ways to do this. That's just one of a million.
Let's see.
This is a really good question, and I keep getting this a lot. And this is something that I think we probably should get in the works. John's asking if the ADA legislation compliance is a foot in the door offer. I think it is a foot in the door offer, John. My only question is, how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go to make sure a website is ADA compliant? And if you have a customer that wants or that you've agreed to do that for, how far down the rabbit hole are you going to go to make sure it's compliant? Because I don't know if you're familiar with what actually makes an ADA or a site ADA compliant, but it's a good amount of stuff. I mean, like, is it a good foot in the door offer? Yes, because 99.9 of the websites out there are not ADA compliant. So there are a lot of people out there, but how do you actually fulfill in that service? There are plugins, there are things out there that can do it, but I haven't really seen anything that's 100% yet. And I've also had customers that have been hit with a lawsuit for not having an ADA compliant website because they're in like an e-com industry. And, you know, the people that are, it's kind of like a scam. People are going around and saying, hey, your website isn't ADA compliant, and like trying to have a lawyer write you a letter, scare you into paying them some money. Even if you use one of those plugins, there's still a chance that people can find a way that your site isn't compliant, like not having the proper alt tags for your images. I mean, for every single image on your website, like that would make your site not ADA compliant, which is pretty crazy.
I see Walter says, my main company will offer different digital marketing services. Do you recommend the main company as an LLC, then have my influencer site fall under this as a service, or have my influence site run as its own entity? Do you guys want to see how our influencer site is coming along? Yeah, Walter, we'd love to see how your site's coming along. I have a couple of things on that. So one is, like, obviously Nick and I are not attorneys, right? So I don't know what the laws are in your area or anything about that, about forming corporations and stuff like that. So if you're going to form a corporation like an LLC or do something like that, you always want to make sure and talk to somebody in your area that knows the laws in your area and get some professional advice from them. That was probably,
these are good people for that.
Yeah, CPA. And that was probably one of the bigger things that we honestly waited a little too long on. Right. But it's definitely worth it. Right. It's an investment in your business. Definitely worth it. But in terms of your general question, like, I would keep your influencer site. I mean, you could have it be part of your main company. Like, this is a division of whatever your main company is. But in terms of the public facing side, I would keep the influencer site as kind of a separate branding that your main company puts out, right? Because it just makes it easier to prospect that way when you have it branded in that way, because when you're reaching out to people to verify their information and do those things that we teach for prospecting, you know, you don't seem like a marketing company, which, you know, you're not. You're providing this resource site and they have a free listing and all that stuff. So
you could set up your LLC, then you could have a DBA, right? A doing business as name registered, or you could do none of those. You could just set up your influencer site, give it a logo and call it something, and reach out to people and start actually collecting money. You can accept up to, I don't know, I think it's $12,000. I'm not an attorney, but you don't actually have to have a business name registered and all that stuff to actually validate your idea. So if you haven't validated your idea, and a lot of people get caught up on this, they wait to set up an LLC or wait to get their corporate structure set up exactly how it's supposed to before they start prospecting. Go out there, start getting your customers, validate your idea, and then once you actually know that you're going to continue to do this and it works and you're able to, then go set up a DBA. It takes like 20 minutes.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did. I went out and started prospecting, and I just had, when somebody wrote a check, they just wrote it to me personally. And then once I had some cash flow, I went and got a DBA, which allowed me to, basically what a DBA is, a doing business as. And you need to check your area and the laws in your area, but most places allow you to do that. And what a DBA allows you to do is it gives you it sets up your company name so that you can run, like, somebody could write a check to your company and you can deposit it in your personal account. So the DBA is attached to your personal account. Now, I did that in the beginning, and then I formed an LLC and started a business account and all those things later. Let's see. Christine says, as a startup agency, at what point should I ask to pay it after I land a client? So Christine, you want to, most of the like projects type stuff that we do, we require a deposit to lock in the project, right? So as soon as the client says, you know, you've told, you've talked to them about what they want, you've given them a price, and they say, okay, we want to move forward. We do not start work until we get the deposit. So in the beginning, it was 50%. I think we've upped that to 2/3 just for cash flow purposes. But 50% is a good place to start. So they pay 50% to get you started on the project and 50% when it's completed. So you want to get paid as soon as possible. And don't do any work. Never do any work until you've been paid.
Yeah, do not start until you get that first check. Very, very important.
Yeah, very important. Let's see. Tom Jones. Hey, Tom says, I have a question about the influencer site. I'm putting my site up with several towns on my site, meaning several pages, each representing a town. I'm highlighting each town with businesses that are located in each individual town. I will do the screenshot of the tags on the map instead of having one live map with loads of tags. Any problems with doing the influencer site this way? No, Tom, I don't think there's any issues with that. I think that's a good strategy. Let's see. Let's look at this one. Walter has another question. Are there different Google API maps? If so, which one should I use? I'll let you field that one, Nick.
I would Google. I would, if you're doing this manually, I would just go to Google and go to, here, let me show you. Let me show you real quick, Walter, because it's actually pretty, here is a quick prospecting tutorial in 2 minutes. And by the way, if you guys appreciate or you're getting any value out of this live stream, go ahead and like our Facebook page. We would
smash that like button.
Smash that like button on that Facebook page. I think the link for our Facebook page is facebook.com/offline sharks. We'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, that would be great. And if you ever see Nick and I on here trying to eat the hottest things possible, then our live shows have gone downhill. They do that on all the YouTube channels. Yeah. Yeah. It's the spicy challenge.
So, Walter, go to Google, type in whatever you're searching for, whatever you're trying to prospect for. This is you teed this up with your last question, right? This is the map pack, right? You're probably familiar with that. If I click on this little section here, more businesses, you'll see that these are all the businesses in that area. And this is the manual way to go out and find businesses, right? Like, let's look at this one, for example. This isn't a good example. What you're looking for businesses that aren't claimed is one like this. Ram Pacific Roofing and Waterproofing, right? There's this little button here that says own this business. This will only appear when a business hasn't claimed their Google business listing. And sometimes what you'll find is that businesses will have claimed this, but they won't have a website. So this guy is also an unclaimed business. Let's see. So what I start to do is I start to look for the businesses that don't have the website icon. And it's really easy to do, right? You don't need any APIs plugged in or anything like that. If you want software to do that, like we have software that does this, we can get you more information about that. But I would keep it simple, just keep it simple and get this method down. I mean, in the 1 minute that I had this up, like there are like 10 businesses that don't even have a Google business page claimed that I just found. Like, look at all of these. It's crazy. Like pretty much every one of these doesn't even have their Google business listing claimed. That's like prime candidates to being your next customer. But this is on Maui, so don't go there. This is our fishing spot. Let's see. Cameron has a recommendation. Radically cutting distractions and trying to do long periods of uninterrupted work. Yes. Huge. Great recommendation, Cameron. Someone asked if we charge corporate or city council and government the same as small business. Yes, and maybe even more. I don't know. I mean, it's up to you. It depends what the client is, right? It depends what they're doing. I mean, sometimes you might do something with the long-term strategy in mind. You know, maybe you're doing something in the department of the county office where, you know, you're just trying to get your foot in the door. I mean, we've done that too. So it really depends. Like Tom mentioned earlier in the feed, like your how much you divert, like of your money that you divert to payroll. Like in what we do, there's no exact blueprint that would be perfect for you. There's some general guidelines that we can give you, but really it comes down to your unique situation. Like this is your startup, like your little business, your little digital agency, whatever you got going, it's your startup and it needs to work for you within your guidelines. Like most of you you have a regular job. So you're trying to already make it work outside of your regular job, right? So the hours have to be special, right? So that's custom tailored. You also probably didn't go to school for SEO and website design and all that stuff. So the training is special, right? You're also probably not going to be doing all the work yourself. So the cost of doing business, the fulfillment, all that stuff is going to be unique to you because the people that you're going to hire to do it aren't going to be the same people that I'm going to hire to do it. And all of that is unique to you. So again, you got to look at this like your own little startup because it is. And, you know, we can of course give you guidelines and tell you where we started and where we're at and help you to grow and scale. But, you know, when it comes to pricing your services, talking to these, you know, these special customers, nonprofits, all that stuff, like ask yourself the questions like, what do I want to do this for? Would it be worth it to me? Am I going to hate myself after I commit to doing something for free for these guys? Like, I can tell you what I think you should do, but at the end of the day, what do you think you should do?
Yeah. And the other side of that is like, this is just a starting point, right? Like it's just a starting point to figure out what you need or what you want to make each month, right? Because eventually as you get some traction and you go on, you have to start looking at what's the value to the client. Right. And then you can adjust your pricing based on how valuable it is to the client. And what I mean by that is like, if redoing a website just leads to 3 new deals a month, like what's that worth to the client? Right. I mean, that's not very many, 3 new deals a month. Like if I can bring you 1 customer, like what's that worth to the client? Right. Like then you can really start to adjust your pricing where it's based on the value you're delivering. You know, but in the beginning, you don't really know or have any backup of any of that. Right. So like you need to start somewhere. So that's why it's easier to just start with what you need to make or what you want to make to give you some ideas of how to price things in the beginning. And then as you're moving along, you start to see like, wait a minute, you know, I'm charging these clients $2,500 and this is a really valuable thing they're getting from me. Like that's probably not enough. You know, but as your pricing goes up, you also have to be able to explain to the clients why it is valuable to them. And in the beginning, that's really hard for people, right? So, you know, that is kind of one of those things that comes with time and as you get more experience and stuff like that. But just understanding, you know, what you need to make per hour and being realistic, right, about how many hours you can work a week. Like if you have a regular job, and you're already working 40 hours a week, it's probably unrealistic that you're going to work 40 hours on your business unless you're a machine, you know? So you have to be realistic. Like, okay, realistically, I can put 10 hours a week into this, right? And so how much do I need to make for those 10 hours? That just gives you a place to start. Let's see. Jacqueline says, in my AGM site, there are services I can't offer just yet, but which I want to offer in the future. Is there a way of hiding these things in the website so that they don't show up to visitors? Yes, Jacqueline, there absolutely is. So when you log into your dashboard, you can go to the appearance section and menus, and you can take those things off the menu and then they won't show up. If you're not really sure how to do that, I think we have a video in the training on how the AGM site functions on that. But if not, just Google how to remove menu items from a WordPress site and you'll find a ton of stuff on it. There you go, Nick. There's a feature request.
You should be
that.
Huh?
We should make a note of that.
Well, we can do it. Eric, if you go to offlinesharks.com/support, you can submit any feature request there. There's a specific line item right there. So you can submit and our development team will look at it.
Yeah. So Brian said, where is a list of outsourcing companies that are reliable? So Brian, we don't have a list like that because we hire individual team members, right? So we go to sites like Upwork, Online Jobs PH, and we post jobs and bring individual people on.
There are outsourcing companies for different things, but we don't have like a huge list. We do have training that we offer where we go over how we're doing outsourcing for specific services. We offer that all the time. We're actually doing a coaching program on it right now.
Yeah. Cheryl said, I thought an entrepreneur is someone who would work 80 hours a week to avoid working 40 hours. Yes, that's another good one.
That is a good one.
That's another good one. Let's see. Somebody said we're speaking exactly what their plan is.
Uh-oh. They're probably talking about the ADA compliance.
Yeah, let's see. So let's see. Quentin said, sold my first SSL install. In your opinion, is it better to buy the SSL certificate or use Cloudflare? Quentin, it's really up to you. Like buying the SSL certificate and installing it that way. You know, one thing about Cloudflare is like, I don't like to tie myself to the client. So if I'm going to use Cloudflare, like they need to start it, or I start a Cloudflare account for them that they'll have access to and all that stuff. Sometimes just buying the SSL certificate can be a little straighter path. Let's see what else we got here. I know. Oh, I saw this. So this here, let me do what Tom is reading.
We're in Southwest Florida. Get it, Barbara, if you're in Southwest Florida and you need some help.
There you go. Hold on. Let me do this. What's Tom reading? Because I had a couple books to recommend, and then we have a couple of other things to go over. So one is this isn't available on Amazon, but I have a link. This is a guy, David Foley. He's in Canada, and so we always talk about, you know, how there's lots of great things to learn in direct response and how direct response really applies to what we do for clients and stuff like that. And so he put together this great little book. It's called the I can't say the word now all of a sudden. It's basically like a dictionary of direct response terms, right? Compendium.
Compendium?
I think I said it right. Compendium of direct response terms. All of a sudden I can't talk. So anyway, but it's a really handy little resource to have. And you know, like you see a lot of terms in books on direct marketing, and like this will just tell you what they mean, like what a freemium is, you know, demographics, what a do not mail list is, what a corner card, what CPI, cost per inquiry, means. So you come across any terms that you don't know what they mean, you can just look them up in here. And I found this to be a pretty handy little resource to have. So like I said, it's not available on Amazon, but I did get a link from David, and I thought I had it in here, but it looks like somebody deleted it. Here, I'll add it again. So,
do you think that book is something we should give to our support team to read?
It may. I mean, there's lots of things in here. Like, I mean, it's got just a ton of stuff in it, so it may help them. Like, you know, if you ever wanted to know what, you know, an acquisition cost is, right? Like it explains what that is. There's all kinds of things in here. B2B business, controlled circulation. Like it's pretty good. It's got a lot of stuff in it. So yeah, it could be something that might be Like what's a Johnson box? You see that in direct mail things. So it's a text box and a sales letter, usually immediately following the salutation, that provides a quick and easy to read summary of the offer, benefits, and ordering process.
Huh. We use those all the time. I didn't know it was called the Johnson box.
Yeah. Yeah. So see, there you go. So anyway, great book. There's a link there. You just go to Offline Sharks, DR Terms, and we'll add it to the book page as well. But so I actually met David. So I joined another mastermind group that's called Titans Accelerator, and David is one of the other members in there. And we got to talking, and I got his book, and it's good. So I wanted to give him a shout out. So David Foley, the direct response terms, you see a link to that. The other book, we were talking about revenue producing activities and sales, right? So the other book that I wanted to recommend is by a guy named Oren Klaff, and it's called Pitch Anything. And this is a really great book that will open your eyes to how what's going on in someone's mind. What's that?
To pitch anything?
Yeah, I know. To it's really what goes on in their mind. And he's got a really unique approach. And I think it's really awesome. Like this book, it's a super popular book, so you may have already read it. I think he sold over 1 million copies of it, but it's great. He has another one out that I haven't read yet called Flip the Script, but I haven't read that one yet. So we'll talk about that on another day. But Pitch Anything, I found this book to be super, super valuable, because there's a disconnect between when we think we're explaining something well to someone and they're not really getting what we're explaining. And he's got a technique called framing and other things like that. I think it's really good. So definitely, if sales aren't your strong suit, or even if they are your strong suit, I would recommend you read this, because I think you'll get ideas and things out of this. And all of the stuff in here, you don't sound salesy. Like there's no trial closes. There's no always be closing. There's none of that stuff in this book. It just really, if you follow what he lays out in here, it just sounds like you're having a normal conversation, yet you're doing specific things that will influence the person and help them to understand what it is you're offering and get them to say yes. So really good book.
Is there a lot of the psychology behind sales in that book?
There's a lot of the psychology behind his approach. So Oren Klaff was an investment banker. So his job was to run around and raise money for businesses. And he's raised a lot of money, billions of dollars. And so, he had to go in and he had to basically walk in a room with potential investors, and he had to deliver a pitch and get the money. Right. Yeah. And so this is a framework that he developed for that. And, he talks about, like, one of the things I really got out of it was he really goes into detail about why when most people pitch, they spend too much time. Like he's got his little framework down so that your pitch is only 20 minutes, which is really great, but it hits all the bases, right? So, and he talks a lot about people's defense mechanisms, right? Like, and just to give you an example with the 20-minute thing, when you're going to pitch somebody, like their defenses start to go up if they think they're getting pitched, right? So the thing he'll do in the beginning is he'll say, look, I'm going to spend 20 minutes just kind of telling you about what we have going on, which immediately like lowers your resistance to that. Cause you're like, oh, okay, it's just 20 minutes. Like, you're not going to be tied to this guy. Right. Like, and so it helps, kind of relax the person, and they'll be like, okay, well, I got 20 minutes. I can hear what he has to say. Right. And then he's got a framework of how he breaks it all out and what he does with the pricing. One thing I thought he had, I saw this on a video he did. He's like, whenever you're getting to the price part, he's like, look, you probably want to know the price of this. I mean, everybody does. Like, you won't be a good business person if you didn't want to know the price. And I'll go ahead and I'll tell you exactly what it's going to cost, right? I mean, it's going to cost more than you want to pay, right? But it's going to be less than I want to charge. So in the middle there's a number, right? That's fair. And like, it's just a great way to get that together. So I started incorporating that and things I was doing with pitching and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it's really good. Get it.
Awesome. I see Tom mentioned about the training we did the other day with Chris Winters. He said it was unbelievable. He didn't buy it, but there are a lot of free jewels in one single program. Where'd he go?
Oh, sorry, I took it off.
He's never seen more free jewels in one single program. So that's one of the reasons why we brought Chris on. For those of you that were there, weren't there, we had a training yesterday and the day before that about running a Facebook ad agency, basically. But you know, Chris is in our mastermind, right? And I mean, he's a really, really smart guy. Both Tom and I have learned a lot from him ourselves. So, you know, when he told us that he had a training and an opportunity to share with everybody, we were stoked because, like I said, we've learned so much from him. We know that you would as well. And so if you haven't checked that out, you definitely should check out the replay to that. The link is there because if nothing else, like Tom just said, the other Tom from the comments, that there are a lot of really, really good free, he called them free jewels, a lot of good information. So, you know, there is obviously a training and a program and a software at the end of that, but if nothing else, go watch the replay and get all of the information that is given away for free. It is really, really awesome stuff. I had a lot of trouble advertising on Facebook for a long time. And it wasn't until Chris shared some things with me in San Diego a few weeks or 2 months ago now that I was able to actually start running ads really good. So check that out. We're going to have
What's that?
We're going to have it up for a couple of days.
Yeah, I think it's up for a couple of days. But yeah, I mean, one of the things is, you know, like obviously a lot of the people in that mastermind group are super smart and you know, high performers and doing a lot of things. But Chris is like one. There's probably out of that group of what are there 19 or 20 of us in there. There's like 3 or 4 people that whenever they say something, I always listen and take notes on what they're talking about. And Chris is one of them because he's actually doing what he's teaching, right? And yeah, again, he's just like super smart.
Yeah. So go check that out. We've had
a really nice guy. Like a really nice guy.
We've had a lot of really good feedback from it too.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely check that out. Well, awesome guys. Well, that was a great marketing jam session. Another great session. Love the comments, the feedback, the interaction. We appreciate you taking time out of your Friday to spend with us. And yeah, if you have any other questions, you can post them in the thread and try to get back to you there. Tag one of us, or, you know, you can always send a ticket to offlinesharks.com/support. And we will be back here next Friday. Same shark channel, same shark time. Anything you want to add in there before we peace out of here, Nick?
Thanks for hanging out, everybody. You guys, I love the questions. You had a lot of really good questions today. I think that makes for some awesome content. And like I said last week, you know, as you go about your day, building your business, starting your business, scaling, growing your business, and you have questions, just write them down. Write them down and show up each Friday and let us know what they are so we can help you answer them. We got a lot of awesome people in our community, and you know, sharing our experience with you guys is it's pretty, I mean, I love it. So
yeah, and you know, one of the reasons we do these, like one of the reasons we wanted to do these local marketing jam sessions is like, you know, we get how hard it is when you're trying to start a business, and sometimes you're not in a position to you know, get at, you know, maybe you don't have the funds to buy all the courses you want or get in on those things. And like, we get that. And so we really want to do these marketing jam sessions as a way to help you guys. Like, so bring your questions, ask us, because this is a great way to get that information and knowledge for free, right? And hopefully help you get to take in some action and get some cash flow coming in so you can buy all the products and courses you want.
Let's level up this year, everybody. We'll see you in the next show.
Awesome, guys. Well, we'll see you next Friday. Aloha, everybody.